Hello.
Hi, Srinivas.
Hi, Artha. Good evening.
Good evening.
Started recording. Okay.
Yeah.
You're able to see the screen, no?
Yeah.
These are the topics we had discussed during the last class. So do you have doubt on any of the topic?
No. Clear?
Clear?
Clear.
So today we have just direct. Yeah. JSP directives. Basically, directives are especially useful to give some messages to tell your web container that how to translate your page, JSP page into the corresponding servlet. So it is using JSP directive, we can pass some information using which it can conserve. It can convert like how we can instruct something that how web container should translate your JSP page. Page directive, include directive. So when we have one more called Taglib, but right now Taglib. These are the three directives which usually we use. The page directive, if you look at it. So in this directive, it defines the attributes that apply to a anti-JSP page. Means for a specific the name itself, we are talking about the page directive. So properties specific to particular page. Suppose if you want to import a page, import any particular class. Remember yesterday we were displaying a date. How we are displaying? Full path we are giving means java dot util dot some calendar dot something along with the
Yeah.
package we are doing. That means why we are giving in that way, because we have not imported, hence we were completely giving the path in which package it is that, hence we are able to
Okay.
see the time. If you have already imported that class using a page directive, then we do not need to qualify those classes with the package name. Directly I can say calendar dot get time. Instead of saying com dot util dot whatever the package name. So in Java means usually we use an import, right? Import statement at the beginning.
No. Yeah.
Which
Yes.
without importing, we can directly use a compare package name if it is a one-time use. And if you see that it's a more frequent use, we go for the import. So if you want to go for the import, we have to go for the page directive.
Okay.
Yesterday's example I'll open. Somewhere we have saved. See this. So calendar is a class. Inside we have a method called getInstance method. Inside that we have get time. So with this calendar is present where under java.util. Suppose if let me start the server and show you the exam. Then I'll remove this package. No, follow page.jsp. My form is a starting form right now. This is the student, right? So it will display time here, right? So if I remove the package, then remove the package, what happens? So it cannot identify the class.
Yeah.
Left side you could see the error. Try to attempt. Still get an error clearly saying that. So this is the problem here, right? It's not able to get the here. So it's saying that unable to compile the JSP page. So when it compiles, so it is not able to detect so and so class file. Hence it is able to just for exception we are getting unable to compile with JSP. So if you want to give the qual package name, then it works. Otherwise, you have to go for the page directive, the directive that we are discussing now. It's done. So how we have to do? So here, if you look at it, this is the page directive which is already given in the default one. So this page directive has general language information, content type, and all that. So here we have to mention the import, like import equal to from which package, java dot util package, right? Java dot calendar. So that there is no error here in the left side corner, right?
Okay, but that we can use for the whole script.
Whole script means
the import statement.
Yeah, this import statement is we are importing at the page level, right? So this import statement is applicable for throughout this JSP page.
Okay.
Because it converts into servlet, right? That servlet, this will be added at the beginning as usual, kind of like Java code.
Yeah, same like Java program. Yeah.
Try to refresh. This time it should work because we have imported using the import statement, right? So import directive is a directive one to talk about some information about the page specific thing, if any property specific to page. Clear?
Yeah.
And then with the include directive. The include directive means in case if you want to include something, means usually when we are doing any kind of a website, so the common behavior is on the top we will be having header, and the most of the times bottom will be footer, left side will be maybe some menu, and right side will be some menu, and the center will be body part, right? The most of the
Yes.
kind of common layout means usually header will be there will be a logo or image of the website will be on the header. Footer will be copyright statement, right? Kind of a common statement. So when we are developing any kind of a website, so we might write many number of pages, right? So if you are writing many number of pages means each and every page you navigate, in each page you might see the header and the footer, and in case if it is having left side menu, all those things, in each page you get all those information, right? Each and every page that you navigate, you'll be seeing every page.
Yes.
But those implementation perspective, from user interface perspective, you'll be able to see all those things in each page. But ideally, those things, like whatever, let's say if you talk about the footer or header, those things we are not going to copy paste in each and every page. What happens if you copy, if let's say we are writing 100 pages,
Okay.
header is hello and footer is hi. Okay, so if I'm writing 100 JSP pages means if I add header in all JSP pages as hello, and if I add footer and hi in all my JSP pages, I launch my website, I'm able to see header will be hello and footer will be hi, right? So in future, if there is any change to my header, so what happens? I have to modify all those 100 files, right? The example I took is 100. It can be like more than that, depends on the size of the project. Right? So these kind of repeated things like header, footer, left side menu, right side menu, and if you have anything as such, so these are the things which we are not going to ideally code in each and every page. We code in a separate file called header.jsp page, footer.jsp page, and the left menu.jsp separate files. Okay, and these things include in a single main JSP page. Okay, so in that main JSP page, we just include means dynamically we refer to header.jsp internal inside that file.
Okay, so we are writing the header and footer separately.
Separate files. That's how it has to be. Separate files has to be created. So in that will be whatever the header you would like to display, that header information you are going to type in the footer page, footer. Okay.
Okay, but in HTML we did something different, right? I mean, if the header and footer headings are same for all the pages, then we did something to be same for all the pages.
That is CSS, applying styles.
Yeah, so we did something.
That is style sheets.
Okay.
So that is wherever you use the tag, it will apply
Oh yeah,
the tag specific. So if you use
yeah,
the
specifically
tag,
the tag.
if you use
Okay.
the tag 10 times, so all those wherever you use the tag in all those areas, it will apply.
Okay. Okay.
That is
So
with
I mean,
respect to tag.
we okay.
But here also you can use the CSS and all those things, because when we talk about a website, so we'll be using HTML, CSS, JSP, and everything will be combination we are going to use.
Yeah. So in JSP also we can use the same kind of tags for header and footer.
Yes, but
Okay.
those especially CSS are to provide the coloring and the formatting. You remember, right?
Yeah, yeah.
HTML and all those things only to display the data,
Mm,
CSS and everything just to beautify that data,
mm,
just to enhance
mm,
whatever it is.
mm,
Right? Whereas
mm,
the the page, the directive that we are talking about is include directives.
mm,
Split the page. I mean, just split your design. The
mm,
advantage is reusability.
mm,
In this separate header page and footer page, and
mm,
all those things if you include in one main page, advantage
mm,
is so
mm,
you are going to modify only the respective pages. But if there is any future, any change in the header and footer, so we are
mm,
not going to modify individual JSP pages. We'll just modify
mm, mm,
header.jsp page. So wherever this header.jsp page included, all
mm.
the JSP pages automatically reflected, because
Uh,
dynamically. So here we are not changing individual JSP pages, right? We are
mm.
modifying the header file. So wherever
Oh,
whoever is referring to header page, they'll get the updated header. Like if there in case if there is any change in the header file.
okay.
Got it?
Understood.
Any confusion?
No, 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 clear.
This is header. So now I'm going to include my header in a hollow page.
Mm,
Wherever you wish to have that page, simply include
mm,
that. What is the output of hollow page? This one, right? After that. Here I'll just say header include file equal to this one. So here dynamically these contents will be added here.
mm,
So what is the output when the contents are added? You'll get the heading here, right? Whatever the
mm,
body content we coded here, that will be executed at runtime in this place. So overall
mm.
for you, it depends that header will be here, but dynamically header is from some other file. So
Okay.
you might be
Mm,
getting 100 pages like this.
mm,
All the pages you are kind of on one functionality like that. You might be writing hundreds of pages on all those pages. You are using this line.
mm.
The advantage here is in future if there is any change to my header, I'll just go to my header page and I'll modify whatever the layout, all
Okay.
the designs, all the formatting, anything. I'll display
Mm.
the page and my functionality to this page. So do I need to display all the pages? No, right? I'm just referring to file name. Whatever the file content which is there at runtime, that will get loaded automatically.
Okay.
Clear?
Clear.
So I'll so follow project.
Hello project.
So hello project is actually coming from header.jsp page,
Mm.
right? So
Yes.
we like that for all your JSP pages, you are going to include. I just took an example as header like that. You can have a footer like this, right?
Oh, okay.
You can
So same as like this, we can add the footer also,
yes,
just like header.
you create one more page. You
Mm.
can add that. So this is my header. Just I'm getting this heading and footer. I'll just display this. And usually in the footer we'll have copyright statement, right?
Mm.
Copyrights to so and so year.
Okay.
Many websites you might say. No, right? Copyrights means see this one like this. So you saw that?
No.
Copyrights to so and so.
Oh,
Here.
okay. Copyrights. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Usually this kind of information or maybe contact to someone. This is the information usually placed in the footer. It
Okay.
all depends like
Okay.
whatever you display, but usually you can display anything, but
In footer.
mostly footer will be having copyright kind of a statement.
Copyrighted.
Copyrights to so and so.
Okay.
But ideally we are a developer, we can write whatever we want.
Okay.
Right? This header is footer now.
Mm.
Right? So
Yeah.
like actual this is from separate page and this completely is from separate page and this from separate page.
Mm.
The end user does he know? No, right?
No.
He's just executing some functionality. But
Some hello page.
hello page. But internally we are dealing with 3 pages here.
Yeah. Page, footer page, and the middle one.
Yes, like that you can have any number of pages. Advantage here is reusability.
Mm.
So easiness as well, right? You are making life simpler here.
Yeah.
So otherwise, whatever the logic, if you do the same thing in this page,
Mm.
as long as if there is any no change, that's fine. But if there is any change, then it will be a problem, right? Then it has to modify all those files. The
Mm.
maintainability is difficult.
Mm.
Clear?
Yeah. Clear.
At the taglib is like it's if in case if you want to include any kind of a tags, so we'll be having kind of a tag representation. So it is used to define a tag library that defines many tags. Usually we call it a tag library. Tag descriptor. So we will be having couple of TLD files. Those TLD files has to be used in the defining a tag libraries. Okay. This we will be seeing down the line like when we are adding it the tags. Okay. Let now go
Okay.
into the actions. So directives are at the compile time. So all the directives, whatever you do, all those specific to the compile time. So
Okay.
actions are at the runtime.
Okay.
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 The main difference between directive and action is whatever you do with the directives, all those things will be taken at the compile time.
Okay.
And the things which you do with an action is called the forward
Runtime.
runtime. So now the action is called the forward action. The forward action means so in case you want to forward your request from one page to another.
Okay.
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 Here from this page we are simply ending the behavior here. Okay.
Okay.
After completing this page, what is happening? It's stopping there, right?
Yes. Just is stopping the same page.
It's stopping the same page. There are
Mm.
certain pages, certain cases that once you're done with this one, you would like to forward to something.
Oh, okay.
It might be the case, right? Once you are done with something, I would like to forward to so and so. So you can go for the forward. I'll create the separate page. Some new page is created. Okay.
Okay.
So in case if you want to forward from hello page to the admin page, you have to go for the forward action. Okay.
Yeah.
From here, first I'll show you directly I'll access the admin page. Otherwise, we will do the reverse way. This is the default page, right?
Yes.
What I would like to do from here, from this page, I would like to forward my request to some other page. Suppose.
Hello.
Now I'm trying to code in a different way. So whenever you give a request to admin page, so I will forward the request to some other page. Maybe we'll try for header page. Sorry, we'll try for the hello page.
Okay.
Otherwise, my form in any page.
Okay. Okay.
Just forward page we'll try for my form. Any page you can send it for JSP or HTML anything. Observe something.
Okay. Yeah. It happened.
You are in the admin page.
Yeah.
But internally, it has forwarded to the my
Hello.
form.txt.
My form.
Right?
Okay.
What's happening? So whatever you do here, once you are done with that, so in case you wanted to move your control to something else, so you are moving now. So you are moving to some page.
But it's same as like redirecting, like right?
Yes, redirecting.
Just they gave the name of forward action.
Forwarding the request.
Okay.
So you use the exact word. So forwarding the request. So usually either you might stop the behavior or you might forward to the next level, right? You'll redirect some other page where you might process something else there. Right? Once you redirect it, then it all depends like functionality continues as usual. Understood now?
Understood.
Any doubts?
Clear.
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 So
Directives and actions are clear.
So do you know the difference between the authentication and authorization?
I heard that, but I did not remember that thing.
Okay.
Long back.
Long back you heard? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Authentication means basically identifying the user. Means usually we authenticate to maybe our email accounts or maybe other bank or website. How do we authenticate? Either we provide our username and password, right?
Yes.
So just authentication is just to identify the user, whether the user is valid user or not. We have various kind of authentications. Like any website, we'll be typing username and password. So if you go to office, you might be having a thumbprint, right?
Okay.
Thumbprint, you know, right?
Yeah.
Thumbprint.
I know that.
Using thumb, we might access to offices in some of the offices, or maybe the ID card we might use, or maybe the iris scan.
Yeah.
It's eyes. So we'll be having various kind of authentication. All these things are for just to identify whether you are a valid user or not, whether you are a valid guy to access into that area or not, right? So the authentication is just to identify it. Once you identify, obviously, once you are success, you'll be entered inside into premises. Once you enter inside the premises, means once you enter logged into it. Let's say if you take a website, once you log into that website, then that's where the authorization comes into picture. So if you take any website, the website same website might be using a managers, bank managers, and the regular customers, and everybody logging into same website, right? If the bank manager logs in, he might see some features, additional options, right? Like daily collect, daily income, daily checks, whatever the things which are additional report that you might see, right? What are the transactions that are being performed on day to day? But being a regular customer, we do not expose to all those things. We might only the regular credits and debits and all regular transactions, right? That's where the authorization is. Authorization means after successfully logging in, we are just talking about the kind of a permissions, like what he can do after logging into it. Got it? Once I log into my bank site, so what I can do is I'm a regular user, regular customer. So I'm having certain kind of permissions. So usually we call it as a roles. So based on my roles, I'll be able to, because I'm a normal customer, I'll be able to perform withdrawal and the deposit and the regular transfers and everything I can do. Being a manager, he might be viewing a lot of, might view in a bigger picture, a lot of things he can view, right? If you just look at the premises and the office perspective, so once we log into our company, once we swipe in at the main entrance in the company, we'll enter the company. But within that, like we'll be having many security floors, right? There are many floors which we are not supposed to enter. Only the persons which are working on those projects only are supposed to enter inside that block. Even if we swipe our card, it will not allow, right? Though we are working in the same company, but still we have separate kind of restriction because we are not working on that client. That client is a secure client, so they do not provide access to general access. They'll give secured access only for the people who are working in that project. So that's the authorization. Authentication means identifying the user. Once identified means authorization. What he can do. That's where the decide.
The access restrictions, right?
Yes, access restriction comes under the
Authorization.
So most of the times we used to confuse, like until once we are clear, then it will be nothing. The words are very close, right? Authentication, authorization. That's where like it might take.
I heard these words, but I didn't remember that.
Okay. It's clear now?
Yeah, clear.
Start. Do you know anything about Hibernate?
No.
So heard the name?
I heard that.
Okay. So you're done with JDBC practice, right?
No.
Oh. But you remember, right? Some concepts?
Yeah, I do remember that concepts.
Then it's another.
Just a practice that Tomcat, installing the Tomcat server and working with the servlets, that thing.
You're practice. Okay. You're almost like.
No. Just I left the JDBC. Just I have a little bit confusion with that servlets.
Okay.
So once I did with that.
Usually the JDBC is not required in many cases because because nowadays everything in the Hibernate kind of frameworks, right? Into the. But we should know being a developer, so it depends.
Yeah.
we'll be having little theory.
Mm.
Hibernate is nothing but a simple framework. Okay, before getting into the Hibernate, so just we'll get to know the pros and cons of the JDBC.
Mm.
So we know like using JDBC we can achieve everything, right? So we can perform like we can talk to database especially.
Yeah, we can
Insert, update, delete, anything you are wants to perform, you can perform anything into the JDBC, right?
Mm.
So here, being a developer, I should be knowing how to write the queries, right?
Yeah.
You are a Java developer, but in case if you want to work with the JDBC database, so you should know the
SQL.
SQL, a basic knowledge of SQL. Then only you'll be able to write the queries.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the people doesn't have the knowledge and the database SQL queries. They won't be able to do. It's not that difficult, but you won't be able to do the direct until. Right?
Yeah.
So they should have the basic knowledge.
Mm.
And here we should be responsible for writing all the queries. So without those knowledge, you won't be able to do anything with those things. But
Okay.
with respect to Hibernate, the people doesn't need to know about the queries.
Okay.
So very basic knowledge also should be fine. Otherwise, even if it doesn't even also that shouldn't be an issue because in Hibernate we are going to talk to your Java objects. We do not talk to directly to the database tables. Let's say you have a student table. We are not going to write a query on the student table. So for each and every table, you will be having a separate Java class in your Hibernate. Okay. When you say
Didn't
Java,
got it.
okay, let me repeat. So up to that point, you are clear, right? So
Yeah.
this means if you want to write any kind of a query, the major queries, the developer has to know the complete and taxes and everything. But to Hibernate, it doesn't need to have the knowledge of database.
Oh.
Okay. Even if you know the little, that should be fine. Otherwise, if it doesn't have knowledge also, that shouldn't be fine. Because the reason is we are going to write a queries on your Java objects.
Okay. On Java objects. Okay.
Yeah. So for each and every database table, we are going to create a separate Java file for it. Means if you have a student table in database, suppose.
Okay.
So usually we'll be having a student table, right? Suppose as an example.
Yeah.
We'll do. So if it is a regular JDBC, so I'll directly write a query and select star from the student table. I'll do whatever I want, right? I'm writing queries based on the student table. But when we go to Hibernate, what happens here? We are not going to write a query on the student table. For that corresponding student table, we'll create student Java class.
Okay.
And we will link this Java class to that table. Okay. But being a developer from Java, from Hibernate, I'm going to talk to student Java class.
Okay. For every database, we do have a Java class.
For every
student.
for every table. Every the word is different. So for every table, we have to create a corresponding Java class. And with that Java class, we are going to ask for whatever you want. And it talks to Hibernate is the response, the background. So when you give a query to the Java object, in the background, what happens is Hibernate is going to write a queries on that particular database. Internally, what happens? It is going to fire a query and select star form. But here you are not writing that select star form query. Hibernate is going to take care for you.
Okay.
Got it? Now you got something.
Understood.
The layman terms like you should. So apart from that, it has many features. So using that, we can achieve various kind of things when we are working into the Hibernate framework. It is one of the most commonly used framework. Got it?
Got it.
Hibernate is called the ORM framework. ORM is nothing but object relational mapping. Object relational mapping. So this is the term.
Okay.
Object means Java objects. Relational means relational database, right? RDBMS we call, right?
Yeah.
RDBMS, that's where the relation. So
Mm.
object relational mapping. So that's where the ORM framework is.
Okay.
Mapping your Java objects and the relation database table.
Okay.
That's where the name came from, ORM. Okay, object relational mapping.
Mm.
Many kind of we have a couple of like ORM frameworks available in the market.
Mm.
Okay, but out of that, Hibernate is the most popular. I'll just list it for you. Hibernate. These are the various kind of just I listed only few various kind of ORM frameworks which are available in the market. All these are to perform the same kind of a behavior. Of course, each and everyone has the differences, but the basic functionality is to talk to a database. So you're going to talk to that particular framework. In that the background, that particular framework is going to and give everything whatever you require from the database. After Hibernate is the most popular one. Like I can say like more than a decade, so Hibernate is being popular.
Okay.
In many projects, out of if you take 100 projects, you can say like if it is Java project, and if it is a project, you can say like 80 to 90 projects will be using the Hibernate. So that much popular it is.
Okay.
So more chance. That's why like even we have chosen as the Hibernate as a discussion point rather than the other two things.
Okay.
So all these things are ORM frameworks will perform the similar kind of a behavior. Okay. ORM means object relation framework. I think I have kept the heading here. Since I kept the heading here, so I just moved that content here.
Okay.
I thought like I didn't add this heading. Clear?
Clear.
So before getting into Hibernate, we should know some of the objects that we usually use in the Hibernate framework.
Okay.
Little bit of kind of a theory. So you should know like what is configuration and what is session factor and all those things.
Okay.
Configuration here, the initial set of things like you need to have configured something in your something for the first time. Configuration object is the first Hibernate object that you usually create in any Hibernate application. And it is usually created only once during your application initialization. It represents a configuration or a property files required by the Hibernate. So here we are going to talk about all the properties, like all the information about your database. Like Hibernate doesn't know, right? Hibernate is a separate framework.
Okay.
For that Hibernate, you need to tell that I'm going to use so-and-so database, and these are the information about the database. These are the credentials. All these things we need to supply.
Okay.
So when
I mean the database what we are using everything.
yes, Hibernate is separate framework, right? So
Okay.
we are using Hibernate. So first we need to tell that I'm using so and so database. So first you need to provide all the configuration. Then you can expect the behavior from the Hibernate, right?
Yeah.
It's an open kind of a framework. It can connect to any database, not for a particular database. So you need to tell that what is the database that you are willing to connect, what are the credentials and all those things. If you supply, then it will try to connect to that database. It won't be able to identify to which database you have to talk to, right? These are the two files in which you might provide the information about configuration. These are standard file names. hibernate.cfg.xml means configuration.xml.
Okay.
Hibernate.properties file. Okay, you can use either of these settings. Means either you can go for the properties file. You know, right, how the property files look like generally. Property files means you'll be having a key equal to value. Key equal to value. Those are called property files.
Okay.
So this kind of files is like maintainability is little difficult. So
I mean, we do have property files means we do have keys and values, just like in map.
exactly. Map how it looks like key and value, right?
Yeah, we discussed in somewhere like that's this maps and hash map.
Collections.
Yeah, collections. Yes, yes, yes.
Generally, when we say property file, any property file, not only Hibernate, whenever we talk about the property file, how it looks like is when we talk about properties file, left side will be key and right side will be value. Okay, like this property file will be there. Same
Okay.
properties you can also configure in the XML file. XML files are more convenient and easy to maintain than the property files. So you can provide your settings in either hibernate.properties file or else hibernate.configuration file.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are talking about the configuration. So you can provide your configuration information in either of these two files. Okay.
Okay.
This
So
is
we
more
are.
convenient. The XML file is more convenient. The properties file. So we'll be using this XML file. This XML file has a lot of features in it.
Okay. Just to maintain the configuration object details.
Exactly. Just to maintain the configuration, you can provide the configuration information either of these files. So these are the two standard file names from the Hibernate. You can supply information to either of these files. We'll be using the configuration file because the XML is the most common file that we usually choose because it can provide a lot of information inside it. It's convenient to the developer. But once we're done with the configuration object, the next level is session factory object. Okay, we need to have the next level session factory. Configuration object is used to create a session factory object, which in turn configure Hibernate for the application using the supplied configuration file. Allows for a session object to be instantiated. Then the next level is we are going to session factory object by using a configuration. Means once you create a session factory object, that once the session factory object is going to be created, then you are eligible to create a sessions. Okay, session objects are the next level. Okay.
Okay.
So the session factory object is a thread safe object and used by all threads of an application, and session factory also will be created only once.
Okay.
Configuration object and the session factory objects are only once you are going to create. Do you remember the database connection? The first one I showed you in the normal regular program. The next one I into separate Java file because only once I would like to execute those things, right?
Yeah.
So we have shifted to separate file. In the same way, configuration and the session factory, whenever we are working in a project, each and every time we are not going to create a configuration session factory. We'll create only once, and that objects are going to be shared across the project.
Okay.
So we are not going to create whenever you do a create, save, or update and delete to database. We are not going to create every time session factory objects. So we'll open
just
the
it's going to initialize only once.
Yes.
I mean, create.
Yeah, we'll open the connection once. So up to here, that we opened a connection. Once open a connection, so whoever asks for a connection, we'll share that connection. They'll go for writing a queries, right?
Okay.
So we're not going to create a connection again and again. Opening a connection is not a simple task. Though from the Java perspective, it's 1 or 2 lines, but in the background, it deals with a lot of resources. So we call it expensive kind of operations. Okay. Clear?
Clear.
So to create a session factory object, we need to have the configuration object. So session factory object created by using a configuration object, and we can call thread safe and used by all threads of an application.
Oh, so, okay. Session object.
Yes, session factory.
Okay, session factory. Okay, still wait.
Yeah, now I'm going to the session object. Session factory is a heavyweight object, so usually it is created during the application startup and kept for later use. Session factory. I'm still talking about session factory only.
Okay.
Okay. You would need only one session factory object per database using a separate configuration file. So if you are using a multiple databases, then you need to create a multiple session factory objects. Usually common question. So when you are working for a project, so suppose you want to configure multiple databases in an Hibernate. Sorry. So if you are working in a project and if you want to configure multiple database, how do you achieve? So what you have to do, you need to create a separate session factor objects and separate configuration objects accordingly for your databases. Okay. The session object next. Session object is to get a physical connection with the database. So up to here, connection object is created. Once you ask for a session object to get a physical connection with the database. Session object is a very lightweight and designed to be instantiated each time an interaction is needed with the database. You wanted to save a record in database. What will do? As and when you would like to perform, so you open a session object, do your activity, and you close the session. Means if you are doing 100 transactions, 100 times you open a session, do the activity, close. Okay, that means for each and every activity that you are dealing with the database, you'll create one session object and you'll do the activity and you'll close it. But these two are like only once. What, irrespective of the number of times, only one object is going to be created, same object is going to be validated across. Here, next one, the transaction. Basically, transaction represents a unit of work with a database. Means whenever you are performing some activity, everything has to be inside a transaction.
So whenever we are performing
some database activity, it has to be performed in a transaction. Means usually what happens if you are saving something in a database, okay? So there are certain cases that you might let's say user entered some registration form details, okay, or maybe first name, last name, address, and all this information, okay. All this primary information has to be stored in student table. His address has to be saved in address table, suppose. Okay, usually what happens, we'll read all the data from the front end, we'll insert all the primary data into student table, we'll insert the address related information to address table, right? This is how we do that. Here we are dealing with the two tables, right? Suppose while inserting student table, it was successful, and while inserting into address table, suppose it was given an issue. What happens here? So address insertion is failed. So overall, we could not save the student completely.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
For
The address.
There was some issue in the address. You could not save the address, but student table was already saved. So yeah, there is some improper behavior, right? What you have to do ideally, either you should save complete successfully, otherwise you should save everything. So it has to be, right? If you shave partially and the remaining things are working with the failed case, then it will be a problem, right?
I mean, saving the fields in the table, right?
Yes, saving the fields in the table, exactly.
Okay, so we missed one field.
No, here I'm talking about two tables.
Okay, two tables, okay.
The student table and address table.
Okay, that's what I got confused. That's okay.
Two tables. User has entered all the fields on the screen and have read everything. And we are saving the primary information, name, first name, general information, email ID, phone, and everything in the student table. And the address in a address table. Okay. If you are not using a transaction, save in a student, data will be in the student, and when you are issuing a command to save in address table, then some issue might have happened for some reason. So here the address details were now not saved.
Okay.
So here's the problem here, right? Student information saved, address could not save.
Yeah.
In the real-time behavior, what it has to be, either both things has to be done successfully, or else it has to be rolled back.
Yeah.
Because those were not in a transaction, we do not have a control.
Okay.
Okay. One thing was saved. other thing was failed. It shouldn't be, right? Both should be success. Then I should be able to give information to the student that I have saved your information along with your address.
Okay.
This address is failed, right? But I
Yeah, but
cannot say completely that I could not save for some reason, right?
yeah, we are able to save only some part,
Some
some of
part,
the part only.
some part. So another example, if we take,
Mm.
so usually when you perform a transfer from online banking, if you are doing
Okay.
bank to bank, what happens? So maybe within the same bank, if you are performing a transaction, how it will perform? First, it will deduct some funds from our account.
Mm.
That is one transaction,
Mm.
and it will insert into another record. That is one more transaction, right?
Mm. Mm.
Here, two transactions are performing.
Mm.
Here,
Clear.
right? Two transactions are performing. So here, from your account, it might have debited $100.
Okay.
So after performing after debiting $100, your statement will be something minus of $100. Then the $100 whatever is debited, it has to be created to someone else, right?
Okay.
So while creating into that account, there might be some issue. Maybe for some reason it could not credit. So from your account already debited $100.
Yeah, but it could not be able to transfer.
Yeah, overall balance wise, like if you look at it, it was mismatched, right?
Mm.
We can say that it's your transaction is incomplete.
Mm.
If in case it was not in a transaction stage, if it was
Mm.
not in the part of transaction, what happened? It will be debited from your account will be saved, but it
Mm.
cannot be created into that account, right?
Yeah.
Here you
Mm.
are missing something, right? These
Mm.
things, so whenever there is a kind of like interdependency between the transactions and activities, we
Mm.
keep all those things in a transaction, because either
Okay.
all things should success or should fail.
Okay.
So
Okay.
debiting
Yes.
$100 is success, but creating got failed. So it should not.
Yeah.
So either debit and credit should work, or else no problem. Let it
Mm.
revert the debit as well, so that I'll try
Mm.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
So any kind of thing, you usually put it in the most of the financial things, any kind of things. Like if you're dealing with the multiple things, definitely
Mm.
cash will be kept under the transaction. Just to give
Mm.
general idea, expand using just taking an example of the banking. Okay,
Mm.
transaction is an object. Within that, you have to
Mm.
perform everything.
Mm.
Then you are going to say that everything is going
Mm.
to work as expected. You call it as a commit. Otherwise, you call it as a rollback.
Oh, if it is success, we will say it as commit.
Commit means
Okay.
if there are no issues, I'll just invoke a commit method on the transaction. It will save everything.
Okay.
So
Okay.
by chance, if there is an exception or something has happened, what I'll do? I'll just roll back.
Mm. Mm.
When they roll back, all the activities. Here we took an example at only two activities, means debit and credit. It might be
Mm.
n number of activities, right?
Mm. Mm.
So all those things has to be reverted.
Yeah.
Clear?
Clear.
Next, Hibernate configuration. So we already spoke a little bit about the configuration. Here we'll talk about the specific details about the configuration. What
Yeah.
it usually supply.
Mm.
So here I'm just listing some of the properties that we need to be mentioned in a configuration file.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
If you look at these properties, forget about the first one that we'll discuss later.
Mm.
Look at these properties. What those are referring to? Driver class name, URL, username, and password. These are the four properties that we have mentioned in the JDBC. Remember?
I have one doubt. This Hibernate configuration and configuration object is not same.
Say both are same.
So both are same,
Both
right?
are same. To
Okay.
configure this object, so I told you, right? For
We store the details in the below files.
in the files. So
Mm.
in this below files, you
Mm.
need to write these settings.
Okay, in the files we need to write the settings.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
why this is a configuration object that we create. While creating
Mm.
that object, it takes settings from this file. In this
Mm.
file, what we have to write? These are the things.
Okay.
Now you're clear?
Clear.
So the four properties, if you take hibernate.connection, this part is common. The right side part, if you take driver class name, URL, username, and password.
Mm.
If you remember the JDBC, same things we have mentioned in the JDBC program,
Yeah, yeah.
right? To
I do
connect
remember.
the
Yeah.
database for the first time, so connection con, driver, manager, get connection, everything.
Yeah.
Four parameters. That means this is the place where you are going to tell out what are the in which database you would like to connect. This
Mm.
information, because Hibernate is not specific to any database. It's kind of an open kind of a thing. You need to plug in that Hibernate framework into your project, and you need to tell that I'm going to use so-and-so database. So then Hibernate is going to behave accordingly.
Mm.
Okay, it can work with any database. That's the advantage.
Mm.
Clear these four properties.
Yeah, clear.
Then the dialect means, I'll just talk about this one. Dialect is like, we need to tell Hibernate that which database you are using.
Mm.
Here I spoke about the database credentials,
Mm.
driver name, username, password, and the where the
Mm.
database is available in the URL, right?
Mm.
I need to tell about the which database I'm using in the Hibernate.
Mm.
Which database means you have a number of databases available, right? Oracle, DB2, Sybase, Postgres. There are many
Mm.
databases, right?
Mm.
You
Mm.
need to tell that information in your configuration file. The reason is because it's open kind of a framework. It doesn't know if if you're not telling the Hibernate, the problem
Mm.
is, so as if you remember, whenever you perform some saving operation, it will generate the queries in the background. I told you, right?
Mm.
Right? Hibernate is responsibility to write because it cannot do a magic. Obviously, it has to write a query, and that query has to be sent to your database.
Okay. Mm.
Right?
Yeah. Mm.
If you are not mentioning the dialect name means what database it is. So
Mm.
it doesn't know like to which database it has to generate a syntax, right? When
Okay.
you talk
Okay.
about a query, any query, it might be some different in Oracle, it might be something different in DB2, it might be something different in separate database, right?
Mm.
Database, minor variations are there.
Okay.
You know, right? If you are having some idea about the databases,
Yeah, I do have. Mm.
right? If you use a SQL server, isNal is one function, right?
Mm.
Isn't, you know, right?
Mm.
So same thing if you come from Oracle is NVL.
Mm.
Like just for a difference, I just showed you one thing.
Mm.
In some of the databases, it accepts Boolean as true or false. In some of the databases, it accepts 1 and 0 because it cannot identify true or false. There are like database to database, there are variations.
Mm.
All those things will be handled by Hibernate. So what you have to tell, you have to tell that Hibernate I'm using so and so database. Then from the Java, whatever you do, the syntaxes are going to be, the query are going to be generated against that particular database.
Okay, so that I mean that query kind of thing we are going to write in the Java application.
Yeah, whatever you ask for Java save, the
Mm.
query is going to be generated against that database. When I say against to, so that is compatible to that particular database.
Okay, getting data from that.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
when Hibernate generates a query, it checks for this property. It says that direct name you have used is so and so. So it understands that I have to generate a query syntax is based on that particular database.
Oh, dialect means okay,
When it
particular
means
database.
on what data, which database you are using.
Okay.
I'll just list out some of the direct names. What is like that in case if you're using Oracle or anything. So if you're using MySQL. Like that, for each and every database, we have corresponding. So I just listed all of you. We have as many number of databases in the market, that many dialects are. So dialect is in Java class, which has information about your conversion. Okay? Suppose if I mention this property, DB to dialect, so it may Hibernate application understand that. So this project is using DB2 database. So let me generate a queries which can work in a database DB2.
Okay.
But if I use Sybase, so Hibernate treats that Sybase is using the database. So let me generate a queries specific to the Sybase database. Example I gave you, right? If you're using MySQL, SQL Server, each and all function is be different. If you're using Oracle, it will be something different, right? But things automatically will be taken care by the Hibernate. You do not need to worry about all those things. From your Java, if you check something, so whatever the compatibility thing, it's going to be automatically generated in the background. Clear or any confusion?
No, clear. Yeah, clear.
Clear, right? Okay. So this is the value. So you know what values to be mentioned for all these four, right? Same
Yeah.
the value that we have mentioned in the JDBC. For this dialect, like this value, whatever the database, either of these values has to be just passed into your configuration file. Then it understands the database specifically. Yeah. Various object states. As I told you, everything you are going to deal with an object, right? So object has various kind of states. Means when you create an object, it has one state, and when you do some activity, it has some other state. Like the three states are classified in your Hibernate: transient state, persistent state, and the detached. Okay, differences is transient means a new instance of a persistent class which is not associated with a session and has no representation in the database and has no identifier value considered. Is called transient. Means we just created an object, but that object is not saved in the database and not associated to session. Okay. Session means this session.
Okay.
Your object is not mapped to session and it is not saved into database. It's just a brand new object. Okay.
Okay, if we don't want to save, we need to give the transient keyword, right?
No. It's not related to don't want. When you create an object and it's state, here we are talking about the state, the behavior. What is where exactly the state means?
Okay.
You are treating in a different way.
Yeah, I'm just I thought of just like serialization, right?
No. Do not confuse. The word is same, but do not confuse with that transient.
Okay.
Transient modifier, right?
Yeah, transient modifier, right?
Save that field into the file, then you'll be using the transient keyword, right?
Yeah.
Different. Do not club that with this. This is something different. Just word is same. That is transient modifier. This is the transient state.
Okay. Modifier and this.
Yeah, we are talking about the person state. How this person in the initial stage, how this person will be at the ending stage, right? Characteristics we are talking. Okay.
Okay.
We create an object. let's say I created a student SC called new student 2. Student. I created a student object. Okay. This student object I have not associated to session. Means I have not mapped to session, and I have not saved into database. Okay. Kind of an object is called as a transient object. What is the state of an object means? This is not having any relation with the session, not saved into database as of now. So then this type of object is called transient object.
Okay, it is not saved into the database.
Not
Okay.
associated to session.
Okay, session also. Okay.
Yeah. Then we call it this kind of object called transient object. Means this is just a brand new guy. It is not having a relationship with the session object and the database set.
Okay. Okay.
Just created.
Okay, understood.
Might go to the next level, but currently it is just a transient state.
Okay. You don't have any connections or any
Yes,
like
any representation in the database.
Yeah.
Next one is called persistent. You can make your transient instance persistent by associating with a session. The next level we are talking. Okay. A persistent instance has a representation of the database, and obviously it's going to have an identifier value associated with it. Means you can make your transient object as a persistent. How do you make? You are going to associate with a session. Once you associate with a session, it will be correspondingly saved to a database table. So once it is saved, so this is called persistent. Persistent means, right, this general word. Persistent means saved, right? It has a representation in the database. So when I say my object is persistent, it is associated to a session. Means currently it is associated to a session. It is having a corresponding row in a database table.
Okay.
Suppose if I talk about student, it will be having student ID. If I say address table, address ID, corresponding ID and everything will be there. Got it?
Okay.
So the next one, detached. Detached means this is not linked to session and this is linked to session. Means your object is linked to session and it has saved in database. Once it is linked to session, we can perform. If you perform anything, automatically those things will be saved into database. Once an object is linked to a session, you can perform anything on top of that object. Automatically, those things will be in the background. It will be saved to database. Okay. You do not want all those things to be happen every time, right? So there are certain cases that I do not want automatically things to happen. I wanted to remove that connection. So detached. So detached means once you close your Hibernate session, still your object is valid student object, but it has just we broke the link with a session. Once we broke the link means whatever you perform on that object, those things will not be saved into database automatically. Got it? You have removed it. Means you have whatever the connection which was established, you have just removed because you do not want to perform that for some reason. Detached a connection between the session and session object to the your student object. Persistent instance will become a detached. Detached is in a state where it doesn't have a association with the session. It was used to have a session relation, now it was closed, but still it has a record in the database table. Let me repeat from the beginning. Transit is a brand new object. It is not associated to the session. Obviously, it will not have any record in the database table. Next level is persistent.
Persistent.
When I say persistent means, when I say my object is persistent means associated to session, and obviously it is having a corresponding record in the database table. Means I'm having a record and I'm having a link still. When a link is still having connection with a session, when it has a connection, whatever I do on my student object, automatically those things will be saved in the database. Okay, if we set, it's an object, right? If we set something, it automatically insert a query into the table. Okay. So there are certain cases that you do not want to establish a connection forever. But I would like to send this object to someone else. So I have to close this session. Once you close the session, so you have closed a session between your session object to the student object. But
Okay, I have closed the session. Okay.
but there is a record in the database table.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
The persistent is you have a connection, so you have a session link and you have a record in the table. And stage you have just removed your session, you have disconnected your session relation and still having a record. Means the name itself, you just detach it from the session, but still you are having a record in the database table.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
The word itself is they're given the, you just
Separate.
you separate it exactly. Still you are having the data and everything. In this, you do not have any data, just a brand new one. In this, you have a data and still session
Record.
you have data in the database table, still session is active. So whatever you perform that session, automatically saves. The third one, you have detached with the session. So whatever you perform in that object, it will not be reflected because you have detached. Okay?
Okay.
Clear? Clear the states?
Yeah, clear.
Any object at any point of time, it fall under either of these states.
Okay.
Okay? Any object. When you create an object. So
When we create an object, it may be any of in the 3 states, below states.
No. When you create an object, it will be in the transient state.
Okay. Okay.
It's a brand new one, right? When you create an object.
Yeah.
What I meant to say is, any object can fall under any of these 3 states in your project.
Oh, okay.
At any point of time. It means based on the coding, based on the activity that you are performing, it might fall under these things.
But by default, the object is in transient state, brand new, right?
By default, when you create a new object, it will be transient.
Okay. After
when
that,
it is when it is saved and still having connection, it is persistent. When it is saved and still close the connection, close the session, it is detached.
Oh yeah.
Right? You save and disconnect the connection.
Yeah. Clear.
So installation and the configuration. Installation is very simple. We just need to have I'm sharing the link. I'll show you where to download. We need to download one zip file and it's having a couple of jar files, and those jar files has to be used on our project. You're able to see this screen, right? Instead of going for these steps, I directly gave you this link. Okay. I will go to this link, click on the latest version, whatever. So the long time back I prepared, it was 4.3 version at that time. Right now it's little latest. So whatever the version which you are able to see, just click on this. Okay. It is going to download a zip file. Okay. The zip file you need to extract. So if you extract the zip file, this is how it looks like. Okay. Use these jar files. So my version is 4.3, right? So you might be having the 5.3 or whatever the number which you are having. Just download from there, and you can use all these jar files in your project.
Okay.
That's how the installation configuration. Once you install it, we can go for the next level of configuration. As of now, is clear installation steps?
Yeah, clear.
Download one zip file, and you can place that zip file anywhere, extract it, refer to these jar files in your project. So I'll show you how to configure. First, we need to have the configuration file has to be created, right? So connect to any kind of database, you need to have the corresponding entry, corresponding property file has to be configured. So as we have seen, so we'll be the other one. We'll be going for the configuration file. You clear, right? So now what are the things we need to be configured here?
Yeah, clear.
hibernate.cfg.xml. So it's one for again. The name.cfg.xml is the name correct? Then you type error. Better I'll take it. Just avoid the type error. Name is correct. I'm creating a blank file. Okay. This is configuration file. In this, I'll just copy the setting from here. This is a standard template. So come back here. This for properties: driver name, username, URL, password, right? So this is a template which I copied because if we type all these things, it will be a problem. So we will first time when we are working, we'll copy the structure. So these are the properties. So Hibernate configuration is this is an XML, right? XML file, because if it was a property file, it will be having key equal to this one left side and equal to will be this one right side. So this is more convenient than that file. So hence we have shifted to XML file. These are the 4 information that you remember.
Okay.
URL, username, password, and value. So this is a property and this is the value we are mentioning. Right? Same database values. Right? And the dialect name. So what the dialect we are using here? We are using PostGRE database, right?
Yeah.
So the Postgres database.
Postgre. Okay.
PostgreSQL database. So we are mentioning. Okay. I'll talk about these features later. Okay. Right now, we just configured something about your Hibernate.
Okay.
Did I? Means you have specified your all your connection settings to your Hibernate properties file. Now you need to load this Hibernate properties file in your program to see whether your application is successfully launched or not with your settings.
Okay.
Clear?
Oh, clear. Clear.
I'm creating one Java class. So the reason I took the person name is I'll be taking example as person table. So I just took the person name. This is a standalone program. Inside this, we are going to establish a connection with a Hibernate. Before proceeding that, you need to have all your jar files. If we have downloaded Hibernate, right? If you're not adding that, so it's a required project. Select all the files. So all those things are added. You just need to refer to those jar files. That's all. Okay. Later on, whatever you code inside your Java project, it will be automatically picked. Standard code 3 to 4 lines of code to connect to Hibernate. And this is only once we used to write. So whenever I do this statement, so it will read all the settings from this Hibernate configuration file. Okay, it will read all the settings and it establish a connection. So once if I'm able to complete all these 3 statements, means an issue, I got the connection successfully. If there is an issue, then we need to look into that issue. Okay, I'm just running this program. So the problem here is it could not find hibernate.cfg.xml. So though we have created, that means location wise we have placed in the wrong location, it seems. So I have placed in the project level. Let me move into the adjust mode. I'm rerunning once again. So it has tried here and it has started loading up, it identifying the file, but it could not find the file. It has given the issue, right?
Okay.
I'm rerunning it. Now this time it found. Created. So last time what was the, so we have many packages, right? By mistake I have created a file here in the project level, means it came here.
Okay.
Came here, but when you're running your project, when you're running a package, it is expecting your file inside src folder.
Okay.
So it expects some default, it looks in so and so room, so you have to place in that room, then only it can identify, right?
Yeah, that's why we changed.
Yeah, that's why I changed. I moved that file to the location where src folder. If you remember, let me show from the project to product physical level, so it will be more clear. Earlier I placed here.
Oh yeah.
With this all this location. I moved to src, right? We just create it. See the timestamp.
Okay. Okay.
The experts in src folder. Because by default.
Okay. I mean the configuration, everything.
Yes,
Hibernate
configuration file. Yeah, this is the file, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we are working in a standalone project, and it exports that file in the so and so location. The first iteration, it was not able to identify. It could not load the connection.
Okay, so we moved that file to source.
The source folder, src folder. So now it is able to get the connection.
Yeah.
Understood now? Clear? Or any confusion or any doubts?
No. Clear.
Okay. So what are the basic steps we did? We just queried a configuration file, and with that configuration, just try to establish a connection. Because if you really want to check whether it is really connected to the database server, try to give a wrong password. Should fail, right? Just failed a connection here. See, password authentication failed for some Postgres. That means it is loading the settings from there just to double check the confirmation, because first time, right? Is it really loading from there? Means we can double check something like this. I just reverted the password. We should establish a connection.
Okay.
If you look at the log,
Mm.
what it is doing, configuration versus hibernate.cfg.xml, it is loading.
Mm.
With that, it is taking username and password that is connected to the database, and
Mm.
this is the database URL. So it's just logging all the information.
Mm.
So everything is loaded. Once everything is successfully updated, you could see the database successfully created.
Mm.
Clear?
Mm.
Any doubt
Clear.
today? Yes,
No.
lot of things. So any doubts on the topic of whatever we discussed today?
No, clear.
Clear?
We covered JSP's completed and Hibernate. Okay.
Hibernate is also started.
Oh, yeah, started.
Then any doubts as of now? All right.
No, clear.
So is it okay? Tomorrow would like to continue the same time, or
Yeah,
for now should be
yeah,
fine?
yeah. No, 1.5 hour. We will take same like as today's
Sure, sure.
7 to 8:30.
Yeah, same timing. Okay.
Yeah, same timings.
Okay, Artha. Yeah, I think
Okay.
we are good for today,
Then,
and we'll
yeah.
continue tomorrow same time.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Then
okay.
bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.